Hey dreamer! Tonight we're turning the dial to a time when your television weighed more than your car battery, had fewer buttons than a toddler's toy, and could still dictate how you lived your entire life. Welcome to 1950s America, where the furniture was uncomfortable and the television was the glowing god of the living room. This is the golden age of television. A time when families began to orbit around a flickering box in the corner of the room, the way earlier generations had gathered around a fire. Television in the 1950s wasn't just entertainment, it was a ritual, a shared experience, and a quiet teacher shaping how Americans saw themselves, their neighbours, and the world beyond their living rooms. Before we begin, take a second to like the video if this helps you unwind and subscribe so you never miss another interesting history story. Or double check if you already subscribed, and while you're here, leave a comment telling me where you're listening from. And I'm curious, are you watching this video on the TV right now? Or maybe your phone? Now dim those lights and get comfortable. Let's pause for a moment. Have you ever wondered what it felt like to let a television quietly teach you how to be a proper family? How many commercials does it take to convince a nation that frozen meatloaf is love? And most importantly, if your entire living room was rearranged around a box that only showed a few channels, who decided what mattered? Well, congratulations. You've just woken up in 1955. You live in the perfect American neighborhood, and the good news is you own a TV. Let's get started. Your day begins with the low mechanical whine of your television warming up in the living room. You haven't even brushed your teeth yet. The television has no remote, no voice activation, and no sympathy. It takes a full 30 seconds to come alive, humming like a radioactive beehive as the glass warms up. During this time, you stare blankly at a pattern of color bars and a very serious Native American head, engraved in stoic monochrome, wondering if you've entered a sacred dream or just the early stages of caffeine withdrawal. The only thing louder than the static is the whirring sound of your own knees as you stand up to adjust the volume manually, like some kind of barbarian. You shuffle into the kitchen in your housecoat, hair still in a semi-failed curl set, and pour yourself a cup of reheated coffee that tastes like hope and burnt socks. As the TV flickers into life, the announcer's voice cuts through the morning fog like a baritone chainsaw. He's chipper. Too chipper. The kind of man who could read a nuclear test schedule with a smile and a wink. Good morning, America. You sit back down on the couch, which is mostly springs and unresolved tension, and allow the day's first round of messaging to roll across your consciousness. Educational cartoons for the children, though yours are still buried under a mountain of flannel sheets. Public service announcements for you, just in case you forgot how to raise a family or store meat properly, and advertisements for products you didn't know you needed until now, because maybe your mop is ruining your marriage. Then a morning talk show starts where two smiling hosts in matching pastels interview a woman about vacuum attachments that double as self-esteem boosters. You're only half listening, your attention divided between the sizzle of your toaster and the grim suspicion that you left the iron on yesterday. The television doesn't care. It keeps going, unrelenting, unblinking, a 17-inch prophet powered by wires, glass, and a sense of moral superiority. In the hallway, your youngest stumbles out in footy pajamas, drawn toward the living room like a moth to flame. He climbs onto the carpet, cross-legged, eyes wide, mouth slightly open. He doesn't blink for the next 20 minutes. You consider this your only real parenting break of the day. He will temporarily be taken care of by Captain Kangaroo now. You've relinquished all authority to a man with a puppet and a jingle. You hear your husband upstairs thumping around in the bedroom like a man wrestling a necktie into submission. He will emerge soon to read the paper in front of the television, pretending he is not watching. If the weatherman predicts a sunny day, your husband will frown in disagreement and check the actual window, just to assert dominance. If the weatherman predicts rain, your husband will grunt. This is his way of contributing to the household discourse. As the morning unfolds, your television becomes the unofficial schedule. You start the laundry during the first cereal ad. You vacuum during the jingle for bleach. You consider writing a letter during the furniture commercial, but the envelope glue tastes like disappointment and the mailbox is too far away. You consider turning off the television. You don't. You say you will after the next segment, and then the next. You wonder quietly what would happen if you just unplugged it. Would your children forget how to spell? Would your husband forget how to chew? Would the house collapse into dust? You don't test it. You sip your coffee. The screen flickers slightly. You adjust the antenna, the picture clears, and just like that, your day has officially begun. Not with intention, not with grace, but with the glowing judgment of a box that sees all and sells everything. As the kids shuffle off to school and your husband disappears behind his sedan, you settle into the sacred ritual, daytime television. There are only a few channels, but all of them agree. You need a new mop and possibly emotional help. Every commercial implies your marriage is fragile and can be saved by floor wax. You pour yourself another cup of coffee, reheated from yesterday's pot, and sink into the sunken middle cushion of the couch. The television buzzes softly, flickering between a morning show featuring a woman with impossibly perfect posture and a quiz game where contestants guess the price of canned peaches while pretending their lives do not depend on it. A man in a lab coat just claimed that happiness comes in the form of a powdered drink mix. You believe him. He has a clipboard. The first commercial break is a symphony of judgment. A woman in pearls smiles beside her gleaming oven. She has 3 children, a waist the circumference of a garden hose, and a vacuum that apparently also whispers affirmations. You glance around your own kitchen. The floor is sticky from jam, your apron has a coffee stain in the shape of Texas, and you've just remembered you left the laundry in the washer 3 days ago. Still, you watch. It's not just programming, it's prophecy. The television isn't merely entertaining you, it's instructing you, guiding you, suggesting gently but firmly that if your husband doesn't compliment your pot roast, it might be your dish soap, or your curtains, or your personality. The morning talk show moves on to advice segments. A woman named Lorraine in a pink blouse explains how to arrange artificial flowers to symbolize emotional stability. You try to take notes but get distracted by the host's eyebrows, which look like they were stenciled on during a windstorm. Then comes a psychiatrist, always introduced as Dr. So-and-so, always speaking with calm authority, who tells the audience that modern women often experience feelings of restlessness and anxiety, easily solved by rearranging furniture and wearing lipstick during chores. You sip your coffee and silently count the reasons you might be hysterical. Then comes the cooking demonstration. Today's recipe is chicken in a can, not chicken and something, just chicken. In a can. The host opens it with a flourish, plops it onto a platter and grins like she's just cured polio. You cannot look away. It wobbles slightly. She adds pineapple rings and calls it festive. You write down the recipe, not because you want to try it, but because you need proof that you did not hallucinate this moment. The commercials return. A jingle plays for a product called Wonder Scrub, which promises to clean your tub, your soul, and your reputation. A man smiles at his wife after she uses the right cleanser. You've been using the wrong brand. Suddenly, everything makes sense. The tension in your marriage, the stubborn soap scum, the recurring dream about being chased by sentient kitchen appliances, all of it explained. Another show begins. This one features a panel of women discussing how to spice up your marriage with themed dinners and a new brand of frozen peas. You start folding laundry on autopilot, the television murmuring sweet judgments in the background. You didn't plan to spend your morning this way, but here you are, learning about casseroles that double as conversation starters and how your discontent might be cured by lemon-scented floor polish. You glance at the clock. Hours have passed. You have not moved. Your coffee is cold again. The laundry is still half folded. And a commercial is telling you that if your sheets aren't lavender infused, you may as well sleep on the sidewalk. You again think about turning off the TV. You really do. But the next segment promises a breakthrough in window cleaner, and you need to know how it ends. After all, your windows have been streaky lately, and maybe that's why you're feeling unfulfilled. It's worth considering. Everything is when it's sponsored. It is a truth universally acknowledged in 1955 that all furniture must face the television. The couch, the chairs, the ashtray stand, the dog's bed. Everything orbits around the glowing box like it's preparing for launch. Your aesthetic is now mid-century nuclear worship. You didn't even mean for it to happen. One day the television was a novelty parked in the corner, a guest in your home, a conversation piece, and now it is the conversation. It dictates the furniture layout, the lighting, and your entire evening mood. The end tables have been relocated to make way for optimum snack placement. The rocking chair was exiled after it blocked the view during a particularly emotional moment on Dragnet. You briefly considered rearranging last month, but then someone reminded you the antenna only works at this exact angle, with one leg propped up on a Reader's Digest and the window slightly cracked. The living room used to be for entertaining. You had plans for it once, a piano maybe, shelves for books. Now it's a temple, and the screen is the high priest. Even the rug has shifted slightly, its pattern worn into the shape of where the coffee table must live, equidistant from all viewing angles. You've measured twice. Your husband has his spot. It is not marked, but everyone knows it. He sits in the recliner just to the left of the screen, not because it's the most comfortable, but because it is the best place to monitor the vertical hold. If the screen flickers, he can reach the dial with the precision of a trained surgeon. You tried to sit there once. It did not go well. The children sprawl across the floor, legs crossed, noses tilted upward like worshippers at a cathedral dome. Occasionally they roll over to beg for snacks or complain about static. The dog, a reluctant convert, now naps beneath the TV stand. Even the cat has stopped protesting the noise. You caught her once staring at the test pattern like she saw something you couldn't. Every holiday, someone suggests moving the television to make room for the tree or the punch bowl. The suggestion is met with silence. You don't move the television, you move your expectations. One year you had Thanksgiving dinner on folding trays just to preserve the viewing angle during the parade. Nobody complained, except your mother-in-law, but she's from a different time. A time when radios told you what to do instead. The furniture has stopped pretending it serves any other purpose. The armchair exists solely for guests who pretend they don't care what's on. The side table exists for coasters and magazines that nobody reads anymore. Even your decorative throw pillows have conformed to the curvature required to prop a neck during reruns. The lamp was moved years ago to prevent a shadow from falling across Ed Sullivan's forehead. You don't know why, but it felt important. You once tried to host a book club in here. 3 pages in, someone asked if the television could stay on in the background. Just for ambience, it stayed on. The book did not. When the television isn't playing, the room feels confused, like it's waiting for instructions. You catch yourself glancing at the dark screen, expecting something to happen. Sometimes you polish it, not for dust, for reverence, as if a clean screen might summon clearer morals. Your living room is slowly being taken over by television merchandise. There's a branded TV tray, a cereal bowl with a cartoon cowboy on it, and 3 different plastic toys based on a puppet that doesn't blink. You didn't ask for this, but you did clip the coupon, so here we are. It started innocently enough. A branded cup here, a commemorative plate there, a harmless promotional item you could only get by mailing in 12 cereal box tops, and a check for 75 cents. It seemed like a good deal at the time. A little reward for loyalty, a souvenir of a show your kids loved. You told yourself it was temporary. Now you're not sure where your actual dishes are. Every flat surface in the house is occupied by something with a face. Some smiling cartoon cowboy telling your children to finish their peas. A plastic dog that repeats catchphrases from a Saturday morning show in a voice that can only be described as haunted. A doll with eyes that seem to follow you across the room. None of these things existed in your home a year ago. Now they outnumbered the family. Your children refer to these objects by name. You've heard them hold full conversations with a bendable astronaut from a cereal commercial. You caught your youngest bowing slightly to the branded tissue box before blowing his nose. When you asked where he learned that, he said it was a ritual from the Space Ranger show. You didn't press further. You don't have the strength. The branded TV tray is particularly aggressive. It has fold-out legs and a surface featuring a cartoon family that somehow manages to make your own feel inadequate. They're smiling, clean, and sitting on furniture without stains. Their dinner includes vegetables that glisten. Your dinner includes something from a can, and one child crying because the jelly touched the meatloaf, and the packaging. The boxes the toys come in are miniature billboards, shiny, crinkly, and covered in so many slogans they practically vibrate. They promise happiness, laughter, friendship, and occasionally improved posture. You'd recycle them, but your kids insist on keeping the boxes in mint condition. Your hallway closet is now a cardboard mausoleum. Even the dog isn't safe. He has a branded collar now. A prize from a mail-in campaign sponsored by a show where dogs solve mysteries and teach moral lessons. You had to submit a short essay explaining why your dog deserved it. You made something up about community spirit. Your dog remains unaware, but the collar glows in the dark, and that's apparently a feature worth writing a paragraph for. Your husband swore he wouldn't be part of this. He scoffed when the branded salt shaker arrived. He raised his eyebrows at the matching apron and oven mitt set. But last week, you found him sipping coffee from a mug shaped like a TV character's head. He claimed it was the only one clean. You said nothing. The mug winked at you. It's not just toys and dishes. It's habits, language. Your children now describe real life in terms of episodes. They refer to going to school as a cliffhanger. They say phrases like "stay tuned" and "next time on dinner." You once grounded one of them, and he responded by asking if this was part of his character arc. You considered cutting off the supply, hiding the catalogue, pretending the toy companies had all vanished overnight. But then the commercial came on. A new product, limited edition, only available this month. The jingle was catchy. The offer included a bonus item. Your hand reached for the scissors before your brain had time to object. You cut the coupon, you addressed the envelope, you included the check, you sealed it shut with the silent understanding that another character will soon arrive. One more face for the collection, another small piece of your living room claimed by the glowing box's empire. Your kids used to play outside. Now they recite serial jingles like scripture. They've memorized the opening credits to 5 shows and think the world ends when the channel changes. You tried limiting screen time, but they've learned how to turn the knobs with their feet. You are not in control. The television has become their third parent, possibly their favorite. It never raises its voice. It never tells them to clean their rooms. It delivers cartoons on time, every time, and always with a side of product placement. Your youngest once looked you straight in the eye and asked why you never smiled like the mommy in the detergent commercial. You told him that woman had a script, a stylist, and probably a Valium. He was not impressed. Mornings are the worst. Before breakfast, they're already glued to the screen like barnacles. Pajamas twisted, hair in whirls, eyes wide and glazed. They eat cereal directly from the box because commercials told them bowls are for quitters. You've tried engaging them in real conversation. The most you got was a reenactment of a puppet show, followed by a request for a new toy they saw during a toothpaste ad. When the school bus honks, they barely flinch. You have to drag them away from the screen like you're rescuing them from a trance. One child screamed because he didn't get to see the end of a baking segment hosted by a dog. A real dog, wearing an apron. You're not even sure what show it was. Possibly a dream, possibly sponsored by gelatin. After school, it's worse. The second they walk in, shoes flying, lunchboxes abandoned mid-hallway, they race to the television and flip it on like it's a life support machine. Homework is postponed until after the good programs, then postponed again because of a special animated feature, then forgotten entirely when a commercial promises a giveaway if they mail in 12 cereal box tops and a blood sample. You've tried rules. Half an hour of TV, then books, then chores, but somehow half an hour becomes an hour, and the chores never happen. They've learned how to argue using plot lines. If a cartoon character can skip school and become a hero, why can't they? You counter with logic. They counter with a theme song and a cardboard periscope from a promotional mail-in campaign. They speak in jingles now. Entire meals pass in musical fragments. Would you like seconds? Only if they're frosted and fortified. Can you take out the trash? Not unless it sparkles like Mum's favourite floor wax. You start to suspect that if they fall and skin a knee, they'll expect a cartoon bandage endorsed by a talking bear. You visit other parents for solidarity. You hope they'll say the same things. Instead, their kids have their own screens. Bigger screens, flashier ones. One child brags that his TV has a dial for colour, even though the programming is still in black and white. Another brings out a toy that hasn't even aired yet, as if sponsored by prophecy. On weekends, your children wake up before dawn just to catch Saturday morning cartoons. You've never seen them rise that fast for anything else. Not school, not Santa, not even pancakes shaped like animals. They build pillow forts in front of the screen and refuse to blink. You once waved a popsicle in front of them and got no response. You're not sure whether to be impressed or deeply concerned. At night, when they finally peel themselves away, they hum commercial jingles in their sleep. You've heard one whisper about bubblegum-flavoured vitamins. Another murmurs the ingredients of a new brand of marshmallow spread. You're losing them to the broadcast, one slogan at a time. And somewhere deep down you know this is only the beginning, because the next time they want something, It won't be because you told them they needed it. It'll be because the box did, and the box never blinks. At 6 p.m., the whole family assembles like a solemn church gathering. You're here for the evening news, delivered by a calm man with perfect hair and no discernible emotions. The television flickers gently in the corner, casting a blue glow over your casserole. No one speaks. The children chew silently, spellbound. Your husband nods occasionally, as if he understands the economic report. You stir canned peas without looking down. The anchorman's voice is the new household metronome. Smooth, unflinching, possibly carved from marble. He could tell you the moon exploded and you'd still pass the salt. This is family bonding now, not a game night, not a conversation. Just shared exposure to world events while eating Jell-O with marshmallows in it. The news is always serious but polite. Serious in a way that makes you feel informed but not alarmed. Like someone's letting you in on a secret without admitting it's bad. You remember a time when dinner time involved stories, laughter, maybe a complaint about broccoli. Now your youngest asks about missile ranges between bites of mashed potato. Your middle child thinks the phrase diplomatic breakdown sounds like a type of dance. You say nothing, because correcting them would mean talking during the segment, and that's not allowed. The anchorman never changes, not his suit, not his haircut, possibly not even his socks. He is steady, reliable, the opposite of your casserole, which has collapsed into the middle again. You sometimes wonder if he sleeps in the studio, if they wheel him out of a glass case every evening, ready to pronounce the state of the world over your imitation gravy. Weather comes last, always last, like dessert. A small reward for surviving the fires, protests and grain shortages. The weather guy is younger, slightly more animated, and talks with his hands. He gestures at clouds that aren't visible, promising either sunshine or ruin. Your husband grunts, squints at the actual window, and makes his own prediction, which is wrong but confidently delivered. The commercial break is brief but jarring. Loud jingles interrupt the national oil crisis. A cheerful housewife endorses margarine, while a man with dazzling teeth praises a miracle floor cleaner. You go from potential nuclear conflict to lemon-scented shine in 5 seconds. No one blinks. It's just the rhythm of the evening. After the break, it's human interest. A goose in Minnesota that learned to ice skate. A child who found a potato shaped like Abraham Lincoln. A woman who turns recycled newspapers into hats. These stories are meant to soften the blow of the rest. A brief reminder that life contains whimsy. You nod along. The potato does look presidential. Dinner ends around the same time the news does. You scrape plates into the sink as the final story fades and the closing music plays. Your husband calls the anchorman a good man, as if he knows him, as if they served together in some war against badly ironed shirts. The children scatter, homework will be attempted, baths negotiated, dishes rinsed in silence. You stare at the empty chairs and still-lit screen. The anchorman's face is gone now, replaced by a graphic for tomorrow's headlines. You don't read it. You already know it'll be floods, fires, and something about taxes, and you'll watch again. Because you always do. The television has become the family hearth. No firewood required. Just a calm, polished man telling you the world is complicated but manageable. You believe him. Because it's easier to believe him than to admit you're not sure what any of it means. And because dinner tastes less like disappointment when served with certainty. After the news, the commercials arrive, relentless and upbeat. The transition is seamless. One moment you're being told about potential water rationing. The next you're being offered a revolutionary toilet brush that sings. The tone doesn't change. The voice stays calm, as if these things, war, unrest, and citrus-scented disinfectant, belong in the same paragraph. You sit in your living room, watching it all unfold with the same dazed expression you reserve for PTA meetings and extended family dinners. The commercials are designed to soothe, to distract, to assure you that while the world outside may be unpredictable, inside your home, with the right brand of floor wax, everything is under control. There's a sense that even if the sky falls, you'll be fine as long as your silverware sparkles and your roast is fluffy. One particularly chipper ad explains that a woman's true defense against global anxiety is a lemon-scented pantry and a new set of embroidered napkins. They don't say it outright, but the message is clear. You are the last line of defense. You and your new triple-action detergent must hold the front line against entropy. If your whites are dingy, the communists win. If your souffle collapses, the very fabric of society follows. That's a lot of pressure for someone wearing slippers with a hole in one toe. Your husband doesn't question it. He watches the commercials with the same seriousness he applies to the news. He once called a razor ad inspirational. You reminded him that the actor using it had no visible pores and probably never shaved anything rougher than a marshmallow. He nodded solemnly and adjusted the antenna. The kids are worse. They believe everything. Your youngest cried when you served cereal that wasn't the one with the animated dinosaur on the box. He said it tasted like betrayal. Your daughter asked if she'd be unpopular at school because her toothpaste didn't sparkle. You considered explaining marketing psychology, but instead just promised to clip the right coupon next time. Some of the commercials pretend to be educational. One claims that using a certain kind of canned ham can improve family unity. Another shows a smiling boy doing math better after eating a specific brand of spaghetti. You suspect the math was staged. You also suspect that no child ever got smarter from spaghetti. More slippery, maybe, but not smarter. You start to notice the patterns. The women are always smiling. The men are always competent. The children are always clean. The homes are always spotless, bathed in golden light. Nobody argues. Nobody burns the toast. Nobody forgets to defrost the meat. It's a reality where tension is cured with a dab of furniture polish and a positive attitude. You used to believe commercials were background noise, but now they fill the silence between the big things. They stitch together the chaos. They offer solutions to problems you didn't know you had, and distractions from the ones you cannot fix. Somewhere deep inside, you know that no amount of cherry-scented glass cleaner can stop a missile, but the box promises clarity, shine, renewal. And for a moment, while the jingle plays and the screen sparkles, you let yourself believe. Just a little. After dinner comes the real ceremony, prime time, westerns, sitcoms, variety shows. You don't even like them, but it's what everyone else is watching, and that somehow matters. The living room transforms, dishes are cleared, lamps dimmed, cushions fluffed with military precision. Your husband claims his corner of the couch like a homesteader staking land. The kids slide into their designated grooves in the shag rug. You, like clockwork, fold laundry in the glow of televised gunfights and musical interludes. Somewhere, someone is solving a mystery. Somewhere else, a cowboy is shooting at justice. But none of it is real, and yet all of it feels strangely important. You start with the westerns. They are always the same. A dusty town, a misunderstood sheriff, a saloon with suspiciously well-groomed women, Every week, someone new rides in with a grudge, a past, or a comically oversized hat. Justice is served in exactly 23 minutes, not including commercial breaks. Your children cheer for the good guy, even if they're not sure what he's done yet. He has a theme song, that's good enough. Then the sitcom begins. A canned laugh track guides your emotions like a tour bus through human experience. A man comes home from work and is immediately hit in the face with a pie. The audience howls. A wife delivers a zinger while stirring soup, more howling. Your husband chuckles in time with the recorded laughter, unaware he's reacting to a sound effect. You fold another towel and wonder how much of your personality has been shaped by other people's timing. Variety hour hits around 8. Sequins, banter, a host with teeth so white they could double as searchlights. Dancers emerge from behind velvet curtains, high-kicking their way into your retinas. A comedian makes jokes about traffic and mothers-in-law. Your own mother calls during a sketch and you let the phone ring. She wouldn't understand. It's the ventriloquist puppet's big number. Even your youngest child, half asleep with a graham cracker stuck to her cheek, seems captivated. Her eyes are glazed but wide. She's absorbing culture, one absurd jingle at a time. At school they will talk about the show, what the puppet said, whether the pie was real. This is now a social currency. Fail to watch, and you may as well forget recess. Your husband asks for silence during a skit featuring his favourite crooner. The man appears in a tuxedo, smiles into the camera, and sings about a lost love with the emotional range of a tax form. You dab at your eyes, mostly out of habit. The tune is melancholy. You are conditioned to respond. You do not question this. You merely adjust the volume and sigh, as if remembering a life you've never had. There is a comfort in the rhythm. Every show ends when it should. No surprises. Even the plot twists are familiar. A misunderstanding, a chase scene, a reconciliation in time for the credits. The world is a loop, reassuring and unreal. You feel both soothed and slightly unwell, like eating too much custard. And then comes the sign-off tease. The host reappears grinning and tells you to tune in next week. Something big is going to happen. A special guest. A shocking event. Nothing will ever be the same. You nod, knowing full well everything will be exactly the same, and that's why you'll be back. The room smells like popcorn and furniture polish. The kids are drooping. Your spouse has already dozed off. You remain upright, loyal to the lineup. There's only 5 minutes left. You might as well finish it. One more skit. One more joke about how confusing women are. And then it ends. The credits roll. A final jingle plays. The room falls silent except for the buzz of the television and the occasional snore. You turn the set off. For a moment the living room is dark and still. Then someone mumbles about bedtime and the spell breaks. Tomorrow's TV will be exactly like today's. Same schedule, same actors, same ads. But somehow it still feels necessary. You've started measuring time not by hours but by episodes. Your day now runs on syndicated rhythm. The clock has been replaced by theme songs. You no longer say 10:30. You say right after the game show with the overly enthusiastic host and the woman in sequins who gestures at blenders like they are made of gold. Noon is when the rerun of that show about the sassy redhead comes on. 2 o'clock is the soap opera slot, where everybody is rich, sad, and dramatically slapping each other in front of fireplaces. You no longer need a planner. You know that when the detective show starts, it's time to prep dinner. When the cowboy rides into town, it's late afternoon. When the sitcom starts using a laugh track louder than your thoughts, it's probably bedtime. You can chart the passing of the seasons by which reruns are in circulation. Fall means more court dramas. Spring brings in beach-themed episodes, even if it's snowing outside. The television doesn't care about your weather. It has its own internal climate. It isn't just you. The entire neighborhood seems caught in the same pattern. You can walk outside and hear identical theme music drifting from half the windows on your block. It's like a strange suburban symphony. Someone to the left is watching a courtroom show. Someone across the street is already on the second episode of their afternoon comedy block. You feel oddly comforted by this. Like if you're all synchronized, the day will proceed in order. Even conversations have changed. Your friends at the PTA don't ask how your weekend was. They ask if you saw the twist in yesterday's hospital drama. You nod. Of course you did. You were shelling peas at the time. The emotional breakdown of the head nurse now reminds you of the smell of vegetables and the faint ache in your wrist from stirring the pot too long. Sometimes you wonder what would happen if the schedule changed. If suddenly the sitcom swapped places with the game show. Would you forget to make dinner? Would your children arrive home from school and find you muttering, lost in time, still waiting for the closing credits to roll so you can pick up the dry cleaning? The shows are predictable. That is their power. You know when the laugh is coming. You can sense the commercial break a full 10 seconds before it hits. You recognize guest stars like distant cousins. They show up in one show wearing a mustache, then reappear in another as a completely different character with a different mustache. You accept this. You embrace it. The commercials are part of the rhythm too. They're not even trying to surprise you anymore. They are gentle reminders that you're living in a cycle. Coffee is still good. Soap still makes you pure. A certain kind of margarine still makes your family love you. You don't even need to watch. Just the tone of the music tells you what they're selling. You take a sip of your actual coffee and sigh. It does not transform you. But it's warm. Today you've survived another loop. Another carefully curated sequence of smiles, slaps, pratfalls, and overly cheerful announcers. You have done the chores. You have folded the towels. You have timed your life to the rhythm of syndicated time. And tomorrow you'll do it all again. The same shows, the same pauses, the same moment where you wonder if that's really what people wore in court in the 1940s. The same punchline delivered just slightly out of sync with the laugh track. It doesn't matter. The comfort is in the repetition, in knowing what comes next. Because in a world spinning with uncertainty, it helps to know that Lucy will always get in trouble, the cowboy will always ride in, and the detective will always find the clue, just before the final commercial. Your neighbours just got a bigger television. The Thompsons across the street now have colour. You pretend you're happy with your black and white zenith, but every time a western pans across a prairie, you wonder if you're missing out on green. You tell yourself size does not matter. Picture quality is subjective. Grainy is vintage. Black and white is classic. But deep down in the part of your soul that secretly cares about how the living room appears during bridge night, you know the truth. You are slipping. One poorly tuned channel away from being the house where time stood still. It started with whispers, subtle neighbourhood hints, someone mentioning the vivid blue of a singer's dress on Thursday night. Another neighbour casually describing the pink icing on a game show cake. You nod as if you saw it too. But you didn't. You saw a smudgy shade of grey. Possibly 2 greys. 3 if you squint. You say things like, I just prefer the contrast and hope no one asks follow-up questions. Your husband insists colour is a fad. just like hula hoops and that one canned meat everyone pretended to like. He says the zenith has good bones, that its knobs are solid, that if you hit it in just the right place, it still displays the football score without ghosting. This is not comforting. You're tired of smacking the side of your television like it owes you rent. The Joneses are different. Their new set hums like a spaceship and practically glows through their curtains. You try not to look directly at it during evening walks. It's too bright, too smug. You caught a glimpse of a dancing variety show in full colour once and had to sit down. The sequins moved. They shimmered. It felt like witnessing forbidden magic. Your kids notice too. They come home talking about what the neighbour's television looks like. They describe the shade of cartoon grass, the colour of a cowboy's bandana. Your youngest asks if black and white means your family is poor. You calmly say no. Then retreat to the bathroom and stare at your reflection while wondering if poverty smells like burnt dust and dial cleaner. Suddenly everything feels smaller. The picture, the volume, the respect. The zenith makes a high-pitched whine when it warms up and sometimes buzzes like a trapped bee when you switch channels too quickly. You have named the antenna Harold out of resentment. Harold never stands straight. Harold is the weakest link in your cultural credibility. But colour costs money. New sets are pricey, and you have already budgeted for other things, like groceries and socks, and the vacuum that's been making an ominous wheezing sound since Easter. Still, the thought lingers. Would your Jell-O moulds taste better in Technicolor? Would your family behave more lovingly if seen in full tint? Even your evening news anchor is starting to feel judgmental. His perfectly combed black and white hair seems to look at you with monochrome disdain. He is being broadcast in colour elsewhere. Right now, in other homes, better homes, with richer tones and crisper outlines. You suspect he knows this. Your neighbour mentions a payment plan. A new store opened on Main Street that lets you test drive television sets. You pretend to scoff. But later, after the kids go to bed and the zenith blinks into silence, you pull out the catalogue from the junk drawer and run your fingers over the glossy image of a colour set like it's a forbidden romance. You tell yourself it's not about status, it's about clarity, vibrancy, cultural participation. If the Cartwrights are riding into the sunset and the sunset is orange, you want to see the orange. Is that so wrong? Is it truly envy if it's educational? So tomorrow, maybe you visit the store, just to browse, just to gather information, just to lean in close and whisper to the screen, show me what I've been missing. They said the television would bring families closer, and in some ways it did. You're all in the same room, watching the same screen, not talking, not blinking, united by a glowing box and the shared hope that tonight's show will be better than last night's. It won't be, but you'll keep watching anyway. You used to have conversations, once, before the set arrived like a second sun and rearranged your entire orbit. Dinner used to be filled with clinking plates and actual eye contact. Now it's more of a silent migration from stove to lap tray to flickering screen. No one speaks unless it's to shush someone else during a punchline. If your child spontaneously combusted during the first 5 minutes of a sitcom, no one would notice until the commercial break. But togetherness looks good from the outside. There you all are, neatly arranged, faces aglow with synchronized distraction. A Norman Rockwell painting if Rockwell had used radiation and mild eye strain. Your husband looks peaceful. He's been staring at the same corner of the screen for 20 minutes. You're not sure he's blinked. One child has fallen asleep with a spoon still in hand. The other is whispering the plot under their breath like it's a prayer. The dog is technically part of the group too. He lies at your feet, twitching occasionally in what you hope are dreams, and not a response to the laugh track. Even the goldfish in the bowl is facing the screen. Your family has been domestically hypnotized. You are bonded in silence and artificial light. You start to notice how little actual entertainment occurs. The jokes are recycled. The drama is always resolved just before the credits, but you watch anyway. Because something might happen. A twist, a surprise, a live performance where someone forgets a line and has to cover it with jazz hands. Hope keeps you rooted. Also, the couch is warm. Occasionally someone tries to talk during a show. This is a crime. Your daughter once asked a question about fractions during the first 5 minutes of a musical number. The glare you gave her could have melted Pyrex. She's never made that mistake again. The television must not be interrupted. It is both priest and performance. It gives and it judges. Your spouse offers occasional commentary. Nothing insightful, just a grunt of approval or disapproval when a character makes a poor choice. You nod solemnly in agreement. This is your new language. Grunt-based marital bonding. Sometimes he rewinds the volume dial back and forth like it's a new kind of therapy. Sometimes you wish it were. The shows tell you what family should be like. Happy, respectful, quirky in digestible doses. No one screams into a void or eats the last slice of pie in secret while hiding behind the fridge door. Fathers are stern but loving. Mothers are wise and immaculately dressed even during plumbing emergencies. Children are mischievous but endearing. Your own family fails to meet all these marks, and you wonder if the problem is your reality or your reception. Still, you keep watching, because to stop would mean facing the silence, and silence invites thought, and thought leads to questions. Like, when did everyone start eating dinner on TV trays? Why does your husband know the schedule better than his own anniversary? How long has that water stain been on the ceiling, and is it getting bigger? But those questions can wait, because the show is back on, and there's a pie fight, and everyone is laughing, including you. And maybe, just for a moment, the illusion is enough. You lean back, you join the silence, together, as a family, watching strangers pretend to be a family, all of you perfectly still, perfectly united, perfectly deluded, just the way the sponsors like it. By 9 p.m, your eyelids are drooping, but the TV is still blaring promises. Night creams, kitchen gadgets, a revolutionary new fabric that allegedly resists both stains and disappointment. The television has followed you to bed, not literally but spiritually. Its glow lingers in your retinas even after the screen goes black. Its catchphrases drift through your subconscious like drowsy seagulls. You're not alone in this. Across the suburbs, people are nodding off to the same lineup of commercials, each one more enthusiastic than the last about solving your deeply personal problems with a product that can be ordered in 3 easy payments. Your bedroom used to be a place of rest. Now it's an auxiliary showroom for miracle solutions. A man with suspiciously white teeth explains how his frying pan changed his life. He flips an omelette in slow motion. You're transfixed. You do not need a frying pan. You don't even like eggs. But for a moment, in that hazy late-night trance, you believe that with the right non-stick surface, everything else will fall into place. Another commercial promises youth in a jar. The model applies cream in a bathroom lit like a cathedral. She is ageless, glowing, and possibly fictional. You glance at your own reflection in the darkened dresser mirror and wonder if maybe you too could become timeless with the help of emulsified peptides. You don't know what peptides are, but the voiceover says they're clinically proven. That's all you need. The commercials grow stranger as the hour stretches on. Now there is a mechanical device that makes your bed for you, a plastic arm that stirs your soup while you read, a mop that doubles as a dance partner. These things exist, apparently, or at least they exist in the strange parallel universe of late-night advertising. You're no longer sure if this is real life or a fever dream curated by capitalism. You brush your teeth while staring at the tiny black and white set perched precariously on your dresser. It hums quietly as a man in a suit gestures at a vacuum that could allegedly suck the soul out of a carpet. You wonder if your own vacuum is underperforming. You briefly imagine what your soul looks like in a dust bag. You spit and rinse. At some point, the television switches to static, a soft, comforting hiss, like the sound of a cat breathing. You should turn it off, but you don't. The hiss is familiar. It cradles you. It's easier than silence. Your spouse is already in bed. He missed the part about the salad spinner that also dries socks. You consider waking him to share this innovation. You do not. Some discoveries must be faced alone. He is in a deep sleep, but still mumbles something about stock prices or indigestion. You can hear the familiar rhythm of his snoring. It's oddly comforting, like a natural soundtrack to replace the man with the cue cards. You finally climb into bed. You sit in the quiet for a moment longer, not quite ready to move. The world outside the screen feels slower, less polished. No announcer will recap your day. No music will swell when you open the fridge. There is no applause waiting in the hallway, just crumbs and unpaid bills and a single sock you're pretty sure is from 1948. Now that the TV is finally off, the silence is almost aggressive. You try to hum a little to fill the space, but it turns into the jingle from a fabric softener ad. It has become part of your muscle memory. A haunting lullaby promising freshness and love in every fold. You sigh and turn off the light. You pull the covers over your head like a bunker. Your thoughts wander through the day's programming. You remember a quiz show where the answer was mayonnaise. A cowboy who looked suspiciously like the dad from the cereal commercial. A woman in pearls selling floor wax with the intensity of someone delivering wartime news. These images blur together into something soft and faintly ridiculous. Your pillow smells like shampoo and something vaguely metallic. You wonder if it's the springs. You consider getting a new pillow. You remember a commercial for one, with memory foam, a mattress for your face. It had stars on the box. Maybe that means it works. You try to drift off, but it's hard to sleep when your brain is still hosting a late-night variety show. You manage to fall asleep, but you even dream about the TV. In your dream, you're in a living room that stretches for miles. There are couches on top of couches. Every surface holds an ashtray and a coaster with a cartoon character on it. Your children are somewhere in the static, chanting cereal slogans in harmony. You try to call them, but the only sound that comes out of your mouth is the name of a floor wax. A glowing woman appears. She's smiling, always smiling. She vacuums the carpet in slow motion, while her husband kisses her forehead and says something about freshness. You want to ask her if she's okay, but before you can, a quiz show buzzer goes off and you are pulled into another channel. Now you are inside the sitcom. You live here now. Your neighbours are laugh tracks. Your mother-in-law only speaks in zingers. You drop your toast and the audience gasps. You sit down and they applaud. You cannot stop smiling. You are exhausted. Suddenly, a breaking news bulletin interrupts the dream. There's been a local emergency, a shortage of gelatin. The anchor is sweating, but his voice remains calm. Behind him, a mushroom cloud looms gently over a suburban skyline. He reminds you to buy war bonds and vacuum often. You nod. This seems logical. You're now watching yourself. In your own living room, watching television, watching yourself, watching television. The loop continues. You reach for the remote but find only a TV guide and a lukewarm casserole. You wake up briefly. It was just a dream. The real world is silent. The screen is off, but your brain is still tuned in. You wonder if the television dreams of you too. If somewhere inside its tiny vacuum tubes, it replays a highlight reel of your household, the synchronized snack breaks, the muted arguments about antenna direction, the way you pause reverently for the national anthem. You roll over. Your spouse is snoring like a test pattern. The refrigerator hums its late-night monologue. The room is finally still. But in the corners of your mind, the programming continues. A whisper of static, a flicker of jingles, the faint promise of a revolutionary mop. You think back to your day, how the television shaped every hour, how it raised your kids, structured your chores, delivered your world events, suggested what to buy, when to laugh, how to feel, how it gathered your family together without requiring anyone to speak. Just sit, just watch, just absorb. It sold you ideas, identities, aspirations with rabbit ears, and you let it. Not out of laziness, not really, but because it was easier. Easier to believe in something with a theme song. Easier to feel part of something when millions of others were watching the exact same fictional sheriff solve the exact same fictional crime. Easier to be quiet when the commercials were talking, and tomorrow it all starts over again. The test pattern will hum, the cereal box will sing, the couch will face the altar, and somehow that's fine, because television is part of your life. But now it tucks you in. Good night, dreamer.